Baljit Bawa is the People's Party candidate for Brampton Centre. Good day, Baljit.
Good day, Robert. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you. We're coming up to the final 2 weeks of the election. Are you excited?
More than excited, actually, and especially with the only 13 days left as of today, and then a leaders' debate also happening in Ottawa this evening. There's a lot on the stake, and as People's Party, we know it being a new party, just 1 year old, but being recognized as a national party contesting from 315 plus ridings by Elections Canada. It's an exciting moment, not only for me, but all of Canadians, those who are actually waiting and looking for an option just besides Liberals and Conservatives, or in other words, not just left, not just right, or left and right fighting and asking each other what have they done instead of focusing on the real issues what Canadians are going through. People's Party is the option that's coming up very strong, not only strong from the party perspective, but even from acceptance by Canadians, especially when we go out on the door knocking. The reception we get, the number of questions they ask, the platform that we have put as Canadians first, or a common sense revolution in so-called, as it's being noticed by almost every person that we meet on the road, in the malls, in community centers, the seniors, the veterans, the kids on the street, the youth, the people working in our entrepreneurs on jobs. I have been to the GO station for multiple times, and the reception over there, it's just amazing. It looks like that Canadians were actually waiting for something like this to happen. And I would say it is actually a revolution in political history of Canada, and I am happy, excited, and honored to be part of the history in the making.
Now, you're an immigrant yourself, coming to Canada about 20 years ago, and you're an immigration lawyer, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm an certified immigration consultant, not lawyer, just to correct it. But yeah, I migrated to Canada 20 years ago in 2000. I migrated as a information technology or IT or a computer geek, I would say it, and that's what I was at that time, putting my hands right down in doing programming languages, networking, and so on and so forth. I had a very progressive career. Worked for last 20 years with the various different top 500 Fortune companies from various banks, with the Hydro one, also to mention there. My latest one with Loblaws and Canadian Tire as a program manager for infrastructure and security. That's my career. But yeah, I have been very honored as I was awarded as top 25 Canadian Immigrant Award in 2011 also, which was a great big honor, along with many other, like my co-recipient, award recipient was Pinball Clement, if I may just say it. Hedgeback was also one of them during 2011. So big achievements. What I have been able to get it through because of my volunteer work, because of my community engagements, because of my giving back to the community as I got amazing future career, life, family, establishment, anything you say it. Canada has been very generous of treating me as a very contributing citizen of this place.
I understand that your political background was more or less towards the Liberals. Is that correct?
Very correct. And I still proudly say, you know what, you can't be louder than that when you drive a car with a license plate Liberal. So yes, Liberal is was the label that was there with me. I still hold the classical Liberal values of fairness, freedom, respect, and responsibility. And I still work on that. Those four pillars have made my being here in Canada the strongest, which I really appreciate here, of adapting to the Western values. And this is what classical Liberals are, yes.
Given my age, I can certainly remember a time when the Liberal Party, the Conservatives, had a sense of gravitas, a seriousness about them, a way that they comported themselves that was statesmanlike, and I'm going back to the Pierre Elliott Trudeau days and since then. Your impression of the way the current Liberal leader, Justin Trudeau, is juxtaposed to those statesmen of the past? How do you think Justin Trudeau holds up when it historically when you put him against someone like a John Turner or a Jean Chrétien or a Pierre Elliott Trudeau?
See, I must say that John Chrétien was one of an exception when it comes to liberals. He was the only one who actually turned a $40 billion deficit into a $4 billion surplus. And this is exactly what we are saying it, or my leader, Maxime Bernier, said very clearly in his platform that, you know what, we are going to balance the budget in 2 years. And people are questioning, how could that be possible? I said, it is exactly the possible way the real liberal, John Chrétien, did it. And it's not something that has never happened. We are going to repeat the same thing as it was there. Now, as you said, Justin Trudeau, he has, we were the one who brought him into this. There was a Trudeau name behind it, and there were big hopes on that. And as I recall it, the slogan of hope and hard work was what we started with the Liberals when Liberals were almost at the extinction of only 35 seats in House of Commons in 2015 before the elections. And the amount of work we did on the ground, on the grassroots, of educating people, bringing them awareness, and making them join the liberal movement, it was one of the historical moments again, where from 35 seats as being the third position at the verge of extinction as a national party, we got the majority, a landslide majority against Harper, who did an amazing job being here as a prime minister. But definitely, you know what, everyone is not the best, and there were things that he could have done it much better. But with the hopes that we had with Justin Trudeau, he actually did not follow through any of it, or he did not even weigh much, whether it comes down to the international relationship with our neighbors, whether call it South or call it China, or with India, the largest growing economy in the world, or democracy, which would actually make a bigger impact, whether it's the trade relations, whether it is exports, imports, the brain power that we are getting from there, the human resources that are coming from India and China, contributing here in the Canadian economy. Justin Trudeau was not able to maintain that level, and recently in the past year or so, the respect for Canada has fallen down, whether it is from the immigration perspective of managing or giving the right path or integration to people those who are migrating here with a very high hopes, a better life, a better future for them as well as for their kids. There are various questions on that. Coming down to our trade or economy part of it, which definitely it shows the numbers are really gloomy. But in reality, if you go down at the grassroots level, businesses, the small businesses are suffering. The entrepreneurs are struggling because the taxes are very high, and everyone, not just from political aspect of it or perspective, but even from the ground level up, where a simple person like a Uber driver who is an entrepreneur, he's trying to make his living from doing some business by being engaged himself into something, or it could be a SNC Lavalin or a CBC who's running a big, huge, entrepreneur, corporate. The government is not doing justice of treating them fair or giving them an equal ground with the same rules. There's so much money that's being spent on the corporate welfare, and that has happened huge in under Justin Trudeau's government, that we had been not able to do justice to the entrepreneurs who really want to contribute into it. The taxes are high. There are no schemes that they can actually be more profitable no matter what. And on top of it, when government keeps throwing money to the corporate welfare, which actually hurts the taxpayer in return, that money should be used more to increase job opportunities, efficiencies in the business, infrastructure that is managed and run by the government for the people. So in many ways, Justin definitely has failed on all his promises. And not to say that there are surveys saying that he has done really good job, whereas in reality it's not, and that is the reason why people are actually looking for a change now. They're looking for a real change for the people who are actually committed to bring something good or something what's needed at the grassroots level, not at a very high scale. When I go to the door knocking, and as I say it, when you say it, they say anything but red. That means anything but liberal. And this is a common theme or common feeling that we see it at the door when we hear it. Doesn't matter whether it's an entrepreneur, as I mentioned. Doesn't matter it's a working class or a single mom or a youth coming out from a school. Here in Brampton, the issues are very fundamental, and those issues are creating a big churn in the political demographics. It's not the same as it used to be.
That's for sure. I know Brampton, and it certainly is a different flavor from some other parts of the country. I can tell you that. You quite noticeably know you can see quite visibly the immigration, how it's affected Brampton Centre. Yourself as an example, I guess. And that's probably the biggest issue that's been facing the People's Party is its immigration policy with those billboards put up by that third party, and then the feigned outrage by some of the media because of it. But the mass immigration issue is important, and you as an immigration consultant should be able to explain to the viewers why mass immigration to the numbers of that Justin Trudeau and Andrew Scheer want is completely unsustainable. Can you explain?
That's definitely, and this is directly in correlation with the infrastructure that we have here to integrate the immigrants that come in here. Now, especially we all know it, Canada is a country of immigration or immigrants, and we strive on the built resource that comes into Canada and starts contributing into economy. May it be a truck driver, may it be a skilled labor, may it be a businessman, a doctor, engineer, and so on. Those skills come ready-made to Canada. But Canada has not been able to take care of them well because we never provide them with the proper infrastructure and integration. Now, especially the point system that's running right now, which needs a big overhaul. And that's where when we say, or not we, the third party ended up putting a billboard of saying no mass immigration. The no mass immigration doesn't mean it's an anti-immigration or we are talking of no immigration. Mass immigration is the one when we are bringing people in huge number in proportion to the population that we have and the infrastructure we have to integrate that. So you are actually not doing a human justice to them, and it could become a human rights issue on an international level. So what you're doing is you're bringing a very highly skilled labor who are already established in their countries. And so right now, if you see it, China or India or any other countries from where the majority of the immigrants are coming over here on point system, they are well settled over there. They have experience, they have education, they have qualifications, they have got everything to contribute and start living their good future, their next life or next phase of life. They come here to Canada, and now we are saying, here you go, you're on your own, do whatever you have to do it. We don't, take your education or the qualifications that you have or the experience you have as a Canadian experience, which is one of the major issue that I hear it around over here when the people come from there and they apply for the jobs. The very first thing is they call it, oh, you don't have Canadian experience, something which is actually a human rights issue, which I see it because when you have come on the point system, one of the immigration department is saying, oh, you qualify for this as per the Canadian requirements, your qualifications are good, your experience is accepted, your language proficiency is good, but when they come over here and they look for the same job for which they have been approved by the Immigration of Canada, the Department of Immigration, they don't get that reality on the ground level. So a doctor, an engineer, a computer specialist, or specialized in their own skills, they come over here and they start struggling for 1, 2, 3 years and start looking for those underpaid jobs, the jobs which are for basically for the survival. And that takes the major sense or of what Canada is, of accepting, of giving proper opportunities, providing them the infrastructure, and that's where Canada has failed in last 4 or 5 years. And this doesn't stop right here with just immigration or mass immigration. The just if we take it a special stream, which is the students stream, which is considered to be the fastest, or it's a fast track stream for that young youth who wants to come to Canada and build and get a better future. There are over 2.05 million students have come to Canada since this scheme has started in 2016, 17, and 18. Now we have got that ready uh, pool of skills here, which is youth between the age of 18 to 25. That pool is sitting idle without being given a proper structure or infrastructure. Canada is looking to bring more immigrants, which liberals and conservatives are saying we are going to increase it to 1% of the total population. That means 370,000 this year, comparing to 37 million population. That means next year it's going to be 400,000, and so forth. So within next 3 years, we are going to have almost a same population as of Nova Scotia over here, more than a million people. Whereas when it comes down to the infrastructure or giving them the integration, that's totally missing. We don't have any investments from the federal government or from provincial in the infrastructure where the jobs are there that we are going to integrate these million people in next 3 years. We already have over 2 million students sitting over here. They are looking for jobs and getting some things. What is it causing? Here, especially in Brampton, majority of those students are coming and making this as their home base. When they're making this as home base, this has created a chaos here. Chaos from affordability, the housing, their living conditions. They are working under subpar. The employers and the people they're working for, they're using them, or they're not paying them what they are equivalent to be equivalent as their working conditions. All this comes out as that's not the Canada we have been looking for. That's not how Canada calls their immigrants or the people they come over here. We are not against immigration, but yes, definitely mass immigration is an issue, and we have to address it by stepping back, by taking 2 steps back, saying, let's control that, let's give a proper integration to the existing of those 2 million people, those who are already here, a ready-made pool of skilled labor. And that's what I say. These kids between the age from 18 to 25, those who have come on study permits under the student visa since 2016 to now, they need to be settled first. It's not far when this may become a human rights issue against Canada. Canada stands very strong when it comes down to the human rights. But now we are probably that close to a human rights violation when it comes to giving the proper facilities to these immigrants that we are trying to say, let's have more immigrants coming here instead of taking care of the one that are already here in Canada.
It sounds so reasonable. Why do you think that Andrew Scheer and Justin Trudeau would still want to bring in over 350,000 immigrants every year if we can't sustain that number, if they're not being treated properly, if they can't find a job, and if they can't afford a house? What do you think may be their motives for allowing such a mass immigration into the country?
I think majority of them, if I see here within Brampton, if there is even ground or anyone that I have gone and talked, immigrant like me who's here, everyone here, I would say over 90% of the people are still first generation immigrants. And when they are seeing it, and they are seeing it, that yes, there is a reason why that we should not be looking out for bringing more immigrants here. We should be first providing them proper housing facilities. We should be providing them proper jobs. We should be giving them everything. Why Andrew Scheer and Justin are thinking of that, have got no idea. And when you talk to them, they are totally oblivious with the actual ground reality when it comes down to, you know what, yes, we needed this type of immigration maybe 15, 20 years ago when, yes, we were short of labor, we were short of resources here, like not resources, but human resources here to contribute and build all that infrastructure. Right now, we are at the level where those levels have been way higher. The unemployment, even though it looks like that the unemployment is lowest in the decades and so on, and Canada is at the best. Here in Brampton Centre, the unemployment percentage is 3 points more, or it's 5.7, I guess, nationwide. And in Brampton Center, the unemployment percentage is almost 8.7, which is like almost 3 points, 3 base points more than the national this. There are fundamental issues right here, and those are being ignored. And not these parties, or so-called Justin and Andrew Scheer, are actually looking at the ground level, except trying to buy votes of those immigrants by saying it's no more the same demographics as we used to have it before. We have to first think of our own house. We have to do some little bit of cleaning. We do know that there are issues we must address as national leaders, and they have to stand strong on making that voice being heard, not only here, but around the world. The world looks at Canada with a very high respect. They look at Canada as an accepting country. They look at Canada as being resourceful. They look at Canada as being giving. They look at Canada as being protective of all the human rights. Whereas right now, that is not the case, and we are going towards a very different state where if we don't step up now as national leaders, if we don't step up as residents, if we don't step up as concerned or committed Canadians, minded, this situation is going to get worse.
I'll ask you one further question, Baljit, and that is, you've given a great indictment against the Conservatives and the Liberals, but what is it particularly about the People's Party and Maxime that has attracted you to them? Because they are, after all, a brand new party, polling very low in the polls, unfortunately, although polls can't necessarily be trusted these days, if you think about Hillary Clinton. So what is it about the People's Party that attracted you particularly?
Oh, it's a very valid question, and I would say People's Party, as I mentioned earlier, that this was a long-awaited option that Canadians have been looking for. We never had a strong leadership coming up and saying, here are your options, and that's going to make Canada great, or we are going to be, fair. We are going to respect the freedom and with responsibility. We know it over the years. Yes, the parties have swayed away from what they are, and right now what they're doing is basically fighting among each other as left and right and left, and they're saying you are too far, you are too close, and so on. But no one is actually talking about the issues that Canadians are facing, the ground level issues, the issues of mental health, the stress that they're going through, the healthcare system, the infrastructure, the traffic which is going on, the insurance rates which are there at the local level. Even though all these issues are spread from different levels of government, but the representation, when it comes down to the representative, doesn't matter whether you are a councillor, a trustee, a mayor, a premier, a MPP, a member of parliament, or prime minister. When a resident comes to you and asks you a question, they don't care who you are. You are a representative of that riding of this country. You should be able to have an answer. Whereas what we have seen here, most of us, or most of the representatives, those who are there, they keep trying to shrug this off by saying, "Oh, not me," or it's the other one. And eventually, what has happened? The the member of parliament says, "Oh, this is provincial matter." Provincial says, "Oh, I don't get the good support from the federal." Federal comes down, and then the councillors, they say, the mayor says, "Oh, this and that." So they're always fighting and shrugging off their actual issues, and the citizens are actually suffering because of this. What People's Party, and what brought me into People's Party, or why People's Party got more acceptance within a year, 1 year of existence, 315 candidates across Canada being recognized as national party, a party which is thinking of Canada and Canadians first, whether it comes down to the creating jobs, the affordability for all Canadians, balancing the budget in 2 years, affordable tax or flat tax scheme, or the simple tax schemes, no corporate welfare, safety and integrated communities for the migrants or the immigrants that are coming over here. all these, when you put into one bucket and see it, that becomes a full common sense package for anyone that who's looking out from a country. Canada holds its values of fairness, freedom, respect, and responsibility. And that's what People's Party stands for. And that is where I, being a classical liberal and fiscally conservative, it gives me a one package which was missing so far from any national party that I have been part of it. So Maxime Bernier, who took this stance, got very strong. You know what? Leaving that big title from being a minister also on conservative party, that was a brave move. The move that he made of leaving a conservative party which is well known, creating his own party, a brand new party, and then making it a national party, that itself is commendable. And I say this person actually stands for Canadians who will make sure that Canada and Canadians are put first. And I feel very honored to be given the chance to run as a member of parliament candidate for here in Brampton Centre to make sure that our voice is heard, that make sure that Canadians are heard, make sure that Canadians are being taken seriously no matter what, whether it is lowering taxes, making sure that every tax dollar that they are paying is used and it is accountable all the way from federal down to the municipal level. And that's where I see People's Party has resonated with my aspect or my thought process.
Baljit, it was a pleasure speaking with you, and I wish you all the best in the election.
Thank you, Robert, and it was really a pleasure. Hopefully that next time when we meet, I'll be there in the parliament and making sure that I make a difference and bring the right things for Canadians.
I certainly hope so. Thank you.
Thank you.